Most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do their lives, which is exactly how you'll stay stuck. If your next 5 years is feeling a little foggy, then what you do in the next 30 minutes could determine your entire decade. Today, I'm sharing my 3-step vision clarity framework to help you lock in for the next 5 years. This will not only help you focus on your long-term goals, but give you exactly the assignment every day for what you need to do to put the work in. And before you say, I've tried goal setting before and it doesn't work for me, this is not about making a fancy vision board that you end up stuffing underneath your bed to collect dust bunnies. I may or may not have done that before. There may or may not be one under my bed right now. This is about engineering your future with precision and making your success inevitable through daily action. Step 1, determine the 10x version of you. The hang up most people have with traditional goal setting is that it's a lot about what you need to do rather than who you need to be. This is why when I work with my clients, it's the first thing that we hit on the head. Who are you working on becoming? And in order to figure that out, we need our 5 to thrive. Now, I've talked about this in a previous video called How to Stay Focused on Your Long-Term Goals, so you can see the entire writing exercise there. But we can break this down really simply for you right now. What are 5 things? Just 5. There's probably many more that you could come up with, but 5 things that you want to be true about yourself in 20 or 30 years. Some of you might plan for shorter. Some of you might be hoping for a little bit longer. The goal is to think, what does the big picture look like for you? And what do you want to be able to say is true? There's a number of areas that you could make sure that you hit. Personal growth, your health, relationships, money, your career. You decide what makes the most sense. But what are those things when you check your gut, when you feel your heart, that you want to be true about you in that amount of time? All of this becomes a reverse engineering of what success looks like. The only person who could determine what success looks like is you. And you need to know who you need to become to understand what success even is. I'll give you an example. Something I've always thought I could do, but it took me a while to take the full identity on of, is becoming an author. At first, I thought the idea of writing a book was something only writers could do, and I hadn't given myself that label. And then when I was creating content online and people were begging me for a book, I didn't understand it because I had found another creative space that felt more true to me. But who am I to decide the medium people want to learn in? So I ventured into this, and I started by saying, what does it look like for me to be an author? Who am I as an author in 30, 40 years? And when I thought about it, and I thought, if I am gone at that point in time, what does it mean for me as an author? And I started to realize that not only did I agree with my audience, yeah, we should write this first book, but I actually envisioned myself being an author who had many books. And now here we are today. 8 years later, after my first book came out, I now have 3. And that kind of works out because I'm a little ahead of schedule for being a 5-time author, the way that I see my 30, 40-year goals being back when I set them. What is something you want to be true of you? There's a number of things you're probably thinking of. You're probably thinking you want financial freedom in some way. What does that look like? What does it mean to who you are? Financial freedom is an amazing goal, but it's more of a milestone along the way when you think about who you are in a 5 to thrive situation. Really, it could just mean I never want to be a person that stresses out about money again. I want to be able to handle money problems because problems never go away, and I don't want every single one to make or break me. Now we're talking about more identity building stuff versus let me just check this box. You could be financially free one day and then make some other decisions that change that. Taking on the identity is critical. So that's your assignment to start. What are just 5 things that you want to be able to say about yourself in 30 years from now? Most people fail to achieve their goals because they're chasing after someone else's definition of success. The 10x version of you is not about what looks successful, it's about what feels aligned. So here's your first exercise. You're gonna take 5 minutes. From the heart, from the gut, what are the things that you want to be true about you in the long term? And I want you to write them down as if you are in that moment then. For me, I am a 5-time best-selling author. That's that future me statement that I'm writing in one of my 5 to Thrive. Take 5 minutes and do that now. Here are a couple of other examples. I am a leading thought leader and expert in my industry. I am healthy and happy, maintaining a lifestyle of daily movement and great nutrition. I am deeply connected with my family and close circle of friends. These statements should be specific enough to inspire daily action of you, but they should also be very open so that you can have life's unexpected magic happen. That's what it means to fall in love with the journey. Step 2, milestone mapping. When you know your destination, it's a heck of a lot easier to map it out. Without it, we're just wandering around. That 5 to Thrive is an important vision. It starts to build out the person of who you want to become, but now we need those steps in the right direction. What is the first right turn that we're going to make? This is where we start to build out our 10 to win. 10 things, milestones that help you get closer to that overall vision. Here's how this breaks down. You have your 5 to Thrive. Now, over the next year, I want you to hit 2 milestones for each of those 5. That's how you get to 10. So for each of your 5 to Thrive, what are 2 things, power moves that you can make in the next 12 months that will help you bring that goal closer to your reality? A really great tip for this is for you to define milestones with the SMART goal framework. That's specific, measurable, achievable while still stretching yourself, relevant to the 5 to Thrive, and time-bound. Now we know time-bound is going to be over the next 12 months, and it's amazing what you can do in that period of time. You might get it done sooner, and I encourage you to, but you know that that is going to be that hard stop on that milestone. The magic happens when you see direct lines between today's action and your 30-year vision. It makes you feel like who you're becoming is more real. When you reverse engineer your future vision, suddenly your calendar becomes a more powerful tool than a source of overwhelm. We often hear the advice that you should say no more often, that we end up hating what we do with our time because we've said yes to too many things that weren't true to what our vision is. Having lack of clarity is how that happens. And it's amazing. I look at my calendar every week and I get really excited for what I see. I remember a time where that wasn't always the case. There were things I had to do that I wasn't really looking forward to because I had to in that moment, and maybe my vision wasn't as clear. But the more clear that vision became, the more concrete the milestones were that were defined, the more resources I had on my side, the more I allocated time toward real actions of what I needed to do to get what I wanted, the more often it felt much more natural for me to start saying no. No is a full sentence, hard stop. It doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. You can still explain a little bit if you feel that it's appropriate, especially in a transition of being a people pleaser versus being a massive action taker. So if you've ever found yourself having a hard time taking that advice, this is probably why. Do you have your 5 to Thrive? Do you have milestones that got to get done by the end of the year? Without them, you have no map. And if you have no map, you've got nowhere to be at any given time. And you can say yes to lots of people for lots of reasons, for all the things that they're building and making better and improving in their own lives. We can do some of that. We can be a part of the journey of other people becoming better, but we need to do it for ourselves as well. So here's your exercise for these milestones. Define those 2 goals per long-term vision that you're going to get done over the next 12 months. Then define the first action step you're going to take to move on those goals, each of them, over the next week. Is it possible to hit all 10 this week? Maybe, maybe not. But if you checked off a few more than you would have if you hadn't done this, now we're moving. And they all become more important to you as you prove to yourself that you can focus on any one of the 5. After the action step, I also want you to write the primary obstacle. If we ignore the problems that keep us from getting closer to where we want to be, what we want to do, and where we want to go, then we're just kidding ourselves. You have mindset issues to overcome. You've got to work on you. So knowing what the obstacle is, whether it's that you're hung up, you don't know how to do something, or you need resources or connections, write that obstacle down so it becomes more actionable. It's an assignment. The universe has now been called to help you with this, and that red car, when you're looking for it, starts showing up, doesn't it? When you know what connections you need, when you start to say to yourself, I just have to talk to the right people or ask the right questions, when they happen, you're more likely to hear them because it's already been given to you as something to focus on, thanks to your own homework here. But opportunities, connections, resources, all of those things are going to blow by you if you've never really prioritized it. So it's very important for you to identify the obstacles, especially with the knowledge you have right now, because every time you make yourself better, you learn more. Every time you learn more about what you don't know right now, and you learn that there are more obstacles and there are more opportunities and there are more decisions to make, and you need to be able to make them, but you need to get that information now. And finally, for this right and accountability system, how are you going to make sure that you do the thing? The milestone is going to happen in 12 months because of XYZ factors. You decide what that looks like. So now I want you to take 10 minutes to think, to reflect. You may not get all the way through this right now, but I want you to try to come up with what are the 2 things per long-term vision that you have that you want to do in the next 12 months. Do it now. By the way, I made this process a little bit easier on you. If you head over to my Instagram, make sure you're following me and message me the phrase 5 to Thrive. I'll send you all of these exercises on a PDF download, really easy, no email opt-in required. So you can just simply write everything down in the fields, think about it, put on some vibey music, and just let it be known what you're going to be doing in 30 years from now, so you know what to do today. Check that out over on my Instagram. Step 3, daily vision review. A vision without consistent attention is just a fleeting daydream. Here's how to make your future inevitable with a daily practice. When you have 5 to thrive and you've got 10 to win, it's all fine and good unless you don't pay attention to it. So the most important thing that you could ever know about successful people is their eye is always on the ball. Every single day, I review my 10x vision and my milestones, my 5 to thrive and my 10 to win. Every morning. As a matter of fact, I wake up and I do a little morning routine, get into the day, go to the gym. And as soon as I hit that elliptical, the first thing I do is I put on some really nice, positive, vibey music, and I open up the Notes app on my phone and look at my goals. I'm fully focused. I am in the zone. I am reading. I am rereading. I already know them by heart. I already know the deadline. I already know the victory protocol, but I look at them and I love it. And I remind myself that no matter how much yesterday sucked and today doesn't look that great and everything could be better, but it also could be worse and I should be grateful, who cares? Forget the feelings, follow the process, review the goals every day. That is how I start every day. And then I do it again. At a minimum, I look at those goals one more time. Guess when? Right before my phone gets tucked into its own bed. I pull up my goals on my phone. Usually sipping a little bit of tea in my chair, like we're turning down the room, it's almost time for bed. And I read them again before bed because I would rather be thinking about what I see for myself as my vision when I go to sleep, not coming up with some new way to have a nightmare. I'm encouraging myself when I fall asleep to get rest, to be prepared for what I have to do the next day, to keep going after that vision. And maybe if I'm lucky, I come up with some answer to a question that I have of how to make those things happen because I slept so well. That's always what I want. I'm really always hoping that the dream happens during the dreams. If you do not incorporate the reminder that you want something bad enough, you're not doing the bare minimum level of accountability. And that's just you holding yourself accountable. And guess what a level of that accountability is? Reading and rereading those goals and reading and rereading those goals and realizing, you know what? I'm putting in the work. I know where I'm headed. I agree with the vision. We may have missed the mark on one of these milestones. Every once in a while, a goal just doesn't fit anymore because you're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to change your mind. Sometimes we make decisions on goals from a place of hurry up and get it done instead of thoughtfulness of what it actually should be. But by setting it in the first place, you start taking action and then you realize, wait, I've got a better idea. So if nothing else, why not read and reread what you want to do and what you want to go after so you can make sure it's still in alignment with you? When you review your vision daily, You're programming your subconscious to recognize opportunities aligned with those goals. As you grow and you do the inner work, things that used to look like obstacles start to look like stepping stones. The reality is that the reason that most vision review exercises fail for a lot of people is that they stop at clarity without building consistency. It's cool to get clear, but not if you're not consistent. It's just a journal of nice ideas that could happen for someone, but it won't be you if you don't get aligned with the habits that make it happen. This daily practice is what starts to bridge that gap. That's it, 3 steps. First, you come up with your 20 to 30 year vision. What are your 5 characteristics, definitions of you, the 5 to thrive? Step number 2, your 2 milestones for the next year that you are going to hit for each vision, those 10 to win. And finally, creating that daily vision review practice. When do you do it? What triggers you to do it? How do you stay focused on it? Even if it takes you less than 30 seconds, make sure you get it done. Grab the free downloadable over on my Instagram, Amy Landino, or at Schmatastic. That's my 3-step vision clarity framework for you. If you want to learn how to stay focused on your long-term goals, click the link below and I'll see you there.